and their bullets, and it's inadequate, so Congress allows them to bypass Congress and make their own rules to declare what kind of shields they want to have and what kind of bullets. However, the administration holds you and I to the rules as defined for them by them, and we must object. Is this a court of law or of administration? If it's a court of administration, what administrative law is being enforced in this courtroom today, Your Honor? Against me, when I am not in the administration. The police are not following civil procedure. They're not following the rules. We pay for our own trials. It's really simple. You apply their regulation, the law in court, and demand them to show how does it apply to me. Lawyers can't do this, but you can. And if you have to, you can state Trading with the Enemy Act, the congressional records of state of emergency, the records of the bankruptcy, their documentation records of what they created. Show their mistake. Here's your definitions, Judge. Here's your law. How does it apply to me? Everybody assumes automatically everything applies to them. You have all these laws. You're just talking like big bicycle tires or something or other earlier on the bicycles in town. How does it apply to me? I'm not involved in Congress. Where does it apply to private people? These are codes and rules for the administration and the agency. Okay, now this brings you in under the Trading with the Enemy Act. Also, this brings you in under the war issue, a state of emergency issue. This brings you back in under the Congressional Act, Title 28, 1652, Acts of Congress. The Acts of Congress shows the 11th Amendment took the judicial power off of you, and your Acts of Congress under the state of emergency that says the moment you run under the state of emergency, you now have to come under military regulations. This has to be a court of law somewhere. Somehow, though, some type of regulation. Even on the administrative side, they can regulate anything they want on their own personnel. But when they deal with you and I, due process has to be applied. And they must show where they uphold due process. That's the significance of an administrative hearing, of being able to come back and push this. So to beat them, you can bring in the Code of Federal Regulations, the statutes. Go before an administrative law judge. Lay out regulations, what the law says. This is what regulations say. Here's the evidence, here's the proof. Show me where it's wrong. And they can't. They can't show it's wrong. Okay. Let's see. A debate on what the law is compared to what the administrative side is. Compared to the legal side, this is what the law says. These are my affirmative defenses. Here's the law. Dismiss my case. Army Regulations 840-10, the flag in the courtroom. Go to section 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3. It explains that the eagle on the flag is an administrative court. Administrative issues only. If it has a spike on it, it is a military flag. It's a military court. If there is a round ball on top, you have the civilian side of that flag. 840-10 shows that the eagle, what the eagle means, the spike means, the spear, and the round ball, and what they mean. Whenever we bring a claim in there, they come back with a 12b6. They say, we fail to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. I found that out in federal court in my cases. So instead of accepting it, what we do, I object to your 12b6 on the following foundations. Number one, you are not a private citizen. I don't have to give you relief when you are holding public office. And your administrative rule book tells you how you are to run that office. You are regulated. And when you step outside of your own regulation and you step outside your own procedure according to your own manual, and you violated my rights, you are not entitled to a 12b6. Failure to state a claim where relief can be granted whenever you do not do your job right. Therefore, your 12b6 is denied and worthless. When they come back with a 12b1 or a 12b2, meaning the court lacked subject matter jurisdiction, now they are coming in under the 11th Amendment. At which point you address it. This court does not have subject matter jurisdiction, or this court does have subject matter jurisdiction, as this is an administrative court that deals with administrative procedure violations of the public officials who are operating in a public office. They are not civilians operating in private capacity. Doing this, he's using the state of or the federal government, or he is using his political office in order to enforce a set of rules and regulations on me which does not apply. Therefore, he is missing that office. The court don't want to go after us on the law side. They want to stay on the administrative side and use it against us, when in fact it doesn't apply to us. We need more of us to use it in a court. We need to speak it over and over and know it, talk it, and walk it. Let's talk about the police officer. How is he doing his job, or is he not doing his job? The prosecutor, who has no oath of office or a bond to fill his position. They didn't file a complaint into the court under Rule 3, not properly serviced me. Prosecutor never paid the filing fee to start the case, but you are going to assess me when the case is over, when it was supposed to be paid for up front. Rule 12, 27, 41, and 60, you have to know these rules as well. It says make a list of all the rules so that you know what they're talking about, because they'll come back at you with a whole bunch of different rules. I haven't looked these up yet, so I'm not sure exactly what they are. It says all issues of why they do not have jurisdiction. They can't bring in laws or the Constitution. The judge says. Anybody ever been to court and the judge says, you can't bring up the Constitution? Or you can't bring up laws? Okay. Okay then, Judge. That tells me that you have no judicial power under the 11th Amendment. That's what I needed to hear. Thank you, Judge. Now, I know that you're an administrative judge, and I know we're running under the state of emergency and under the administrative. I have to be the plaintiff in this courtroom under the State of Emergency Act. And we come under military regulations in here. Why? Because you're running an 840-10 military flag with an eagle on it, which clearly shows you are administrative. And you are an administrative law judge. When I have to be the plaintiff and I want this case dismissed because the agency rules and regulations do not apply to me as I'm not part of it. And that's pretty simple. Pretty simple. And it's a matter of going after them, stay on the attack when we're defendants going in there. Okay.
There's a flag with a fringe on it too.
Right, exactly. The fringe has...
Gold fringe.
Yep, the gold fringe, that comes under Title IV. It tells that that's a military flag as well. We fought the flag issue for years and years and years. And we made them take the flag out, and they took the flag out, and it didn't make any difference. You know, we went into court, and what we would do is we'd argue about our name. We did all the patriot BS. You know, my name's not in upper lowercase, it's in all capitals. That's a corporation, it's a trust. That's not me. I won't accept mail from you guys. I won't accept any pleadings. I won't do anything. I won't even come into court. I'm walking out of here unless you make my name right. That's garbage. That's all garbage stuff. They rule over us all the time.
Before you get too far,
Okay.
I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about what you shared with us about attorney complaints and judge complaints.
Okay.
Is the knowledge of who a particular lawyer's insurance company is
Important.
Is that public knowledge? In other words, do you necessarily have to file the complaint with the attorney with the bar, or can you go directly to the lawyer's insurance company and inform the insurance company that this is the lawyer's conduct and they might want to be concerned about continuing to insure him? Because I'm not a member of the bar and the rules don't apply to me.
Mm-hmm.
I also kind of wanted to ask you if you had any thoughts on this one.
Okay.
So, the knowledge of who the liability insurer is. But also, we're familiar with rape shield laws, where they shield these victims so that they, on occasion, they'll discover a serial victim, a serial rape victim who is raped in Mississippi, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, and over 20 years she's got 30 people in jail for rape, but it's the same story over and over and over, and they never catch this until it's way too late. Well, because these complaints against attorneys are confidential and complaints against judges are confidential, couldn't we just open up a web page and put all this stuff out there so that when people go and look, they're seeing real people complaints about lawyer X and real complaints about judges under XXX. And if the insurance companies want to know how these lawyers are doing, whether they're practicing legally, go to the website and look. Don't ask the Bar Association. The Bar Association, they're paid by the lawyers. It's the tavern club.
There are lawyers in there anyway.
So I guess that's where I'm going with this. Maybe my second question, other than knowledge of liability insurance, would be, aren't we playing their game by filing complaints with them? And maybe we should step outside of that box and advocate bringing the complaints in a public form. What's your take on it?
I'm glad you asked that. Okay. Second question first. Randy from Rule of Law Radio has started a website specifically for attorney and judicial complaints. For each state, they're going to be categorized separate for each state. If you go to ruleoflawradio.com, and he talks about his website. I'm not sure what it is. It might be bargrievances.com, possibly. If you email me, I can let you know. I can dig it up and get it to you. But he wants that information so that he can put together a thing exactly what you said, that we can go to. We can not only can we get form complaints and how to structure them and write them, but also to see if in our state if there's a repetition from any one judge, any one attorney, or a bunch of them that have a habit of doing this. Okay, and once that knowledge gets together, if by some chance yourself have been harmed by a judge or an attorney, going back to the first question, okay, you're right, by going into the bar, the judicial district, you're jumping in bed with them, and yeah, they're going to pat the other guys back and say, take it easy at the golf game, you got a bunch of complaints here, we're going to throw them away, blah, blah, blah.
Doesn't rise to the level.
Right. So what you do is, if you have, and you can do this through discovery, if you can get a hold of the guy's insurance company, whatever, the name of the carrier, maybe he's self-insured, maybe he has no insurance, but he's got to have a bond. He's got an oath of office. The oath of office is a contract that he has with you, with me, with everybody in here.